All right. Welcome back to Buck What You Heard. It's Saturday, sitting around waiting on the game to start. Just figured I would jump in here and see what's going on, see if anybody's out there wants to talk about football, what your thoughts are. What does this team look like? How is this team going to perform? So on and so on and so on. So, love to hear from you. And, right now I'm watching Notre Dame put that work on Navy. Not much of a game. Just kind of waiting for kickoff. Most of my friends are out in the parking lot tailgating and enjoying the pregame festivities as they should. And I love that, man. I think that's great that you're able to do that. You know, as I mentioned, I don't know how many times. I mentioned it before, I mentioned it again. I've been pretty indifferent with what the Tampa Bay Buccaneers have done coming into the 2023 season, because I would rather see what they do before I even get into the negative or the positive about anything. I really want to see what they're going to bring and what they're going to do, and then from there, you kind of get an idea. Hey, Mr. Everything Bucks, what's going on, my friend? It's the last preseason game of the year. I think it's a really good game. I think this will give you a great look at, and even though these are vanilla plays, it's still preseason. This will give you a great look at the starters, right off the bat, just to kind of see what you got. Hey, Bud Cannabis, what's going on, man? Yeah, it's one of those days. It's Saturday. Normally, you have to wait till Sunday for the game, but I figured I would just jump on here and see what everybody's doing, see what people think about, what are people looking for in this game today? What do you want to see? I know everybody is bringing up Baker Mayfield, good or bad. I really believe that people should, kind of take a step back because it may not come right away. I thought Baker Mayfield did some great things in Cleveland before the shoulder injury. I really felt like the Carolina Panthers was a shit show, and he just kind of got brought into something that was, it's like bring somebody boarding a sinking ship with a lifeboat, and there's a hole in the lifeboat, and that's kind of what you saw with Carolina. I went back and I've watched the game, a few of the games in with the Rams, and I really believe it's kind of encouraging for me. So right now, what I'm looking for is market improvement. I realize that the offensive line hasn't played together. Tristan Wirfs, new position, Baker Mayfield coming in. Rachaad White is your go-to guy now. Outside of that, everything else is pretty much, the way it was. And so it's going to be interesting to see how all this gels together. If it does, I'm leaning heavily on the coaching staff to dial up plays that will work, that will help the team. So Andy Finley, what's going on, man? There you go. Bud Cannabis, rhythm and timing. I like that. On the offensive side of the ball, that's key. Rhythm and timing. On the defensive side of the ball, get home with 4. If you can get home with 4, there is so much more for Todd Bowles to be able to work with. If your front 4 are able to get home, disrupt the quarterback, make him uncomfortable, just force his hand quicker than what he wants to, not giving him that opportunity to scan the field. So definitely an important thing. I really don't know, man. I mean, one of the guys that I don't think he's going to play tonight, but I am so intrigued by is Kalijah Kancey. How is he going to come on the scene? I know everybody remembers when Vita Vea got injured his rookie season and how that went. And, people were just like, oh, man, this guy, I can't believe he's injured. This is supposed to be our guy. And we see what Vita Vea has done, once he's adjusted to the speed of the game and just being able to get in there, being able to bully offensive linemen and that kind of thing. So that's kind of what I want to see, who's going to stand out, who's going to step up, who's going to show up and show out. That's kind of what you're looking to see from this Buccaneers team. So to me, that's exciting for me. Tempe 1D, this is just enjoy the games type of a year. enjoy watching players, star players, savor Mike Evans, Vita Vea greatness. If we somehow make the playoffs, cool. Um, I cannot argue that. I think that is the probably the best sentiment that's kind of where I'm at. I mean, right now, post Tom Brady, nobody is expecting the Bucs to do anything, and I think this is where you could come in, and you're going to come in and surprise some teams if that's going to be the case. I think a lot of this has to do with execution on the offensive side of the ball, and I believe if you get a rhythm going as was rhythm and timing, I think you're going to surprise a lot of teams. You really will. So again, that's what I'm looking forward to. I think it's going to happen. I think that this team is going to surprise some players, some teams out there, and win some games that a lot of people have overlooked them to possibly win. So that's pretty much where I'm at. So wanting to see what you guys think about possibly me going live, just to kind of I don't know if Mr. Bucs Nation is going to be doing that today or not, but just kind of watching the game, and getting your thoughts, as the game is being played. I thought that might be kind of fun. I don't know if I'm going to do it or not, but I may just kind of go to Mr. Bucs Nations and go over there and check out his stream if he's doing it tonight. So I don't know. Christopher Cole, that is a great point that you bring up. When Baker played with the Rams, he had nobody to throw to, and their offensive line was trash, and he still won a few games. I liked his decision making. I like the fact that he wasn't forcing the ball. We've seen this in previous quarterbacks in the Bucs organization where the decision making wasn't there. But I think that with this type of offense, if they execute the offense, if the plays get dialed up like we know that they can, I think Canales is going to do a great job calling plays. It just remains to be seen if that is the case. Yeah, this is a good one here. Yeah, underdogs. The Bucs are going to be underdogs, regardless of what as fans. If you're a fan fanatic, you follow the team. You know what their roster looks like. You know how some of these players play, and I think as fans, you're more invested in this team than some of your 4-letter network, 3-letter network. Some of those guys that they have a script that they're going off of, and that's what they're basing their analogies on. But for us, we've gone in, we've watched film, we've watched the pregame, gone back and watched the pregame again. You see things that you like, you see things you don't like, and that's how you kind of determine, where you are or what you believe. So I thought this was a good one too. Andy, thanks a lot, Andy. Great wide receiver core. O-line will be solid, I think, when they get it together. Baker will be consistent, and that's the key. Doesn't have to be flashy. Do the Brad Johnson role. Let the defense win for us. I think that's going to be where the strength or the direction of this team is based on the defense because of you have Todd Bowles. I am happy with a lot of the decisions that we're going to see out there, and I think once this team gets wound up and they get going and we get to see what this real offense looks like, I think we will be pleasantly surprised. And Tempe 1D, we have a good and still young defense that will keep us in games and entertain. I'm excited to see what this team can do. That's kind of where I'm at, man. I mean, my expectations are on the floor right now, to be honest. And anything that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers can do that's positive is going to be just that, a positive note. Considering next year you have a little bit more cap room, you have a little bit more flexibility to do some things. So I'm excited. I mean, you've got Mike Evans, you've got Chris Godwin, two guys that have really not been mentioned a whole lot. After Tom Brady has left, you have not heard a whole lot about them. So I don't know. It's going to be cool. Mr. Everything Bucks is saying his concern is the offensive line. I believe that cohesion is key. I think if each offensive lineman is doing his job, taking care of his responsibility, not worried about what anybody else is doing, and they play together as a unit, I think they'll be just fine. Uh, this was something that the Buccaneers were looking at, and with the amount of cap room that they had, they've brought in the players that they feel like give this team the best chance to win. So, I totally get it with the offensive line. Uh, I would say, folks, for me personally, looking at this team, I'm going game 6 is where I start to be a little bit more critical. But because there are so many new pieces and so many moving parts, I believe that this team, as they win games, if they win games, that's a pleasant surprise. But I think after game 6, that should tell you you've had a team that's been able to play together for 5 games with the same unit. If they are healthy, let's hope they're healthy, and that's going to be a big factor right there. Is how do they adjust? How do they continue to get better? Do we see market improvement as the regular season progresses? And Bud, that's a great point. I think this may be the first time to see potentially what this offensive line is going to look like. I won't say 100% because we still don't know the situation with Ryan Jensen. So, I'm again, these are guys that they're capable. They're capable of going out and doing it. And I think if Baker is a good decision maker, he can get the ball out. I think that's going to bode well for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Run blocking and getting that running game going, using your running back out of the flat. The one thing that I'm really excited about, and I hope that I'm not wrong about this, but running backs making those catches. How many years, how many seasons has it been that we've watched our running back struggle catching the ball or moving the ball upfield? Whereas, that could potentially be something that we will see more of. But I feel comfortable, watching Rachaad White. Nice hands, very fluid motion when he's catching the ball and turning it upfield. So again, I think we have three running backs that could definitely get that done. And Tempe 1D says Jensen will be back. He will have the line playing well. He is a standard, and they have been shown to respond. I agree. Again, I don't know what's going on with his injury. I don't know if they're holding him out just for just to be safe, or exactly what's going on. But Jensen is a very important part of this team. It's very hard to find offensive linemen like that they go out there and they play well and they get in the head of defensive players, and that's what you want in an offensive lineman. And we're very fortunate to have a Ryan Jensen here. Christopher Cole, I'm always pumped for my Bucs, and I always have hope before the season starts. When they are out of it and struggling, I will watch and root. That's how I am, man. Like I said, my expectations are on the floor, and whatever the Bucs do, if it's positive, if it's going to help this team win, I'm good with that. And I'm not going to be hypercritical because again, you're talking about players that are playing in a newly implemented offense, and you have players on the defensive side of the ball that they're once they get going, I think we're going to be in a good place. Real interesting. I saw the quote about Shaq Barrett. I'm shocked personally. My expectations were we wouldn't see Shaq Barrett on the field playing at a high level until possibly I don't know, maybe game 5, 4 or 5, game 4, game 5. But it's very encouraging to see him on the field, see him in practice, see what he's capable of doing, because that's going to be a huge part of this defense and, making this defense run smoothly. Yeah, tall Florida guy. I'm the same way. Very low expectations this year. I think the O-line, but I don't know. I can't really speak on the O-line. I can't really speak on the O-line because I am waiting to see what the coordinator does. I'm waiting to see how the play calls work, because I honestly believe if you can keep your defense, you can keep the opposing defense on their heels, which the Bucs were not able to do last year. It really gives you a few more options that you didn't have. When you're unpredictable and it's hard to know what you're going to do, that's what really helps your offensive line, because you have guys that aren't able to pin their ears back and come for the quarterback. They have to really think things through, because they could get hugely punished, if they do the wrong thing. So, yeah, and I'm with you. The 2020 Super Bowl was well worth it. And that's what I'm looking forward to is, watching this team grow. And, as long as the team is competitive, I mean, that's what you want. You don't want a team that's a placemat that gets just like ran over by everything. My man, KB, Ken Barrett, what's going on, brother? I won't be able to watch the game tonight, but I can't wait to watch the condensed version. Man, hey, shout out to my man, KB. If you're watching, man, that's my guy. Ken, I appreciate you, man. And, just be safe out there, do what you do. And, we'll get to talk about the game at some point, man. But, again, this is a team that I feel like is underappreciated by the NFL as a whole. And I want them to silence some critics. I mean, that's my big thing. Yeah, and Bud Cannabis, I'm with you. When Dave Canales was named as the offensive coordinator, I was like, okay, all right, whatever. And I didn't care. Didn't care. Didn't matter to me one way or the other. Who cares? But as I've been hearing Canales talk in these press conferences, as I've been hearing his philosophy, as I've been hearing him say things that I've heard fans say over the years, we got to do this. We got to put our best players in a position to win, our best players in a position to succeed. Those are the kind of things that you want to hear from your offensive coordinator. And we had a guy that was sticking round pegs in square holes, and it just wasn't working. But, again, I think with the level of talent and I'm going to say this, the offense last year was not, I won't say they were very talented. I won't say very talented, but they were talented enough to win games and be in games. So there's really no excuse for the Bucs to end up the way they did. And I'm just hoping that, moving forward, this is what we're going to be seeing. And Mr. Everything Bucs, we're 2 drafts away from being the type of team we want to be. This is a pro Jason Light podcast. I've had people that stopped listening to my show because I refuse to be hypercritical of Jason Light. And so what I'm thinking here, I think that he understands, what's going on and what's needed. I love what he's done, despite being in salary cap hell to some extent. So he's gotten us some players, and I'm hoping these players pan out. But so far, so good. And it just remains to be seen how some of these newbies come in, and do they come in and help this team. So let's see. Yeah, facts. Should have been another Super Bowl, but I'll take 2020. Yeah, I'm right there with you, man. That's kind of how I feel. I believe that this team, they've got talent on both sides of the ball, special teams, and I think this is going to work out, man. I really do. Amazement 717, been a long time, my friend, long time listener. This is an OG listener right here from day one. Amazement 717. What's going on? Glad to hear from you, man. And let's see, Ken Barrett, if you want to shoot me a link. Oh, let me get KB on here. That would be a blast from the past. It'd be good to have you on. Yeah, give me a second, KB. I'll get you on here. And I've had this argument with people where people have been like, Jason Light is trash. Why is Jason Light still the general manager? And this is even after winning the Super Bowl. And my thing is, who do you replace him with? Who's better? Who's better than Jason Light that's on the street working for Labor Ready or whatever that could come in and do something? I am dying to know. I keep hearing this from people that, the people that don't like him And there are people that are still pissed off because of the draft and the kicker thing. They can't let that go. But I think he's more than redeemed himself. And I would even go so far as to say that he's put himself in the Ring of Honor conversation. Because, when we got a second, we're just kind of chopping it up here. While we've got a second to talk about this, if you think about it, when you had Rich McKay went through 3 coaches before winning a Super Bowl, where he had Sam Weish, then he went to Tony Dungy, and then he ended up winning it all with John Gruden. So, we kind of fast forward, we look at Jason Light. Jason Light started out with Lovie Smith. Then it was Dirk Cutter. Then he wins a Super Bowl with Bruce Arians. So, again, these are things that I don't know, maybe I don't want to sound like conspiracy theorists, but again, I love what he's done. I love the fact that, he's done well with the salary cap, and he hasn't put us in a bad position. And there are teams that are in salary cap hell every year. KB, what's going on, man?
I'm alive, I promise. No camera today, but
it's all good, man. I'm just glad to have you on.
I could be Jameis 1 of 1. You never know.
No, your voice is a little bit too deep for that.
I mean, I can go down there if you like. I can be like a little guy from Scream with that little recorder that can be a voiceover for me.
Yeah, there you go. So, what are your thoughts on the game tonight? What are you looking for?
Oh, man. I mean, I'm excited to at least see the offense play a half. It's going to be obviously very vanilla. So I would expect a lot of running, some play action thrown in there. Fans looking for some deep shots tonight. I think Baker's probably going to take maybe one. So I wouldn't get the hopes up for any type of explosives. I just want to see them gel together. I want to see the offensive line. What does Tristan Wirfs look like? We already know kind of what the right side looks like, but what do they look like against, starters? I think that's just a good baseline. Let's just see week 1 kind of, where our expectations should be. I've seen different people in the chat. I don't think they should obviously be too high. Right. I think the offense deserves at least our patience through the bye.
100%.
But what are they going to show to start? I think that's a fair question. Mm-hmm. Defensively, I'm honestly not worried. I'm just praying for no injuries there. Yeah. What does Greg Gaines look like? In the rotation, Logan Hall. That's to me. We know what the linebackers
I wish Mark Ramirez was on. From Real Bucs Talk, I'd love to ask him about Logan Hall, but he's not on. So.
Well, Logan Hall. Todd Bowles is calling him a starter. The film isn't the prettiest. He's definitely looked like he's obviously a little bit more physical. I'm curious to see how they use him. Is he going to be that Will Golston role? At least having Will Golston, is at least insurance in case anything doesn't progress too fast with Logan.
What I found interesting is I've watched Logan Hall, and I am trying to be as unbiased as possible when you're watching film, but there are times where he just looks lost. And I understand you're picking up the speed of the game. I understand that. And this year is going to be a big year for him, where I have higher expectations now because he's been in the rotation. He's played with some great players that, he should be able to pick something up. Kind of the same with JTS. These are guys that need to step up and make plays. Because as I mentioned before at the beginning of the show, getting home with 4 is going to be huge. This is it'll set the tone for the rest of your defense if they can consistently get home with 4, forcing, offensive linemen to double team on certain players. And, if you have an opportunity to get to the quarterback, you have to be able to get there and make it happen. So few things that I'm looking forward to is, just watching some of these guys and seeing if they progress. A guy that we're all looking at, that we all are really curious about, is Mr. Get Live, Devin White. With all the noise.
Talk about a quiet training camp.
Yeah, exactly.
I've maybe heard his name on 2 days, I feel like. And I'm not saying Devin White's had I'm not saying that out there, putting that out there. But it's just hey, we hear our backup linebackers are splashing. To be fair to White, you haven't heard much about Levante either, but I think we all have faith. But, yeah. That's a great call out. Hey, what what is his attitude like? Is he, once the lights turn on, is he just going to do his thing like in the 2020 playoffs, or is it going to be same old, same old?
You know what? I'm going to say that Devin White's been in the NFL long enough that I think he's figured out camp. Figured out, this is the production I need to get in camp. And then when it comes time for the games that matter, I think we're going to see a different Devin White. Again, this is a guy I love the pick at the time. I still love I wouldn't switch the pick. It's just a guy that and there, I guess there's nothing wrong with that. I know it's a business, but I think he believes he's like the best linebacker in the league. And, realistically, he's good. I mean, he's good, but what he's wanting, I think, is kind of unrealistic based on the consistency of his play.
Well, and I think Devin White is a great leader. He kind of reminds me of the defensive version of a QB who must not be named. I want to know who's surrounding Devin White. I don't think Devin White himself is this attitude problem, or
I don't either.
He sounds like he's a guy who loves football. I just think there's someone in his ear, the same way that I feel like, people were in another quarterback's ear at one point. And I think that's what caused a lot of turmoil. But once they're on the field, once they're in their environment, if you've been in the league 5 years, I don't expect you to be he has his starting role.
Right.
Is bearing injury, Devin White will be the starting middle linebacker for the entire season unless traded. That's just
that's it. That's in the story. That's not even up for conversation, to be honest.
And Devin White has a skill set.
Yes.
Tonight, Bowles is not going to blitz Devin White, every third. That's not going to. They're going to blitz.
I don't think he's going to show his hand at all. I think these will be your standard vanilla plays that, hey, just execute the play. That's all you need to do. Get out there, execute the play. Nothing fancy, nothing like that. Game doesn't matter. And that's kind of what we're looking at. We're looking for.
I'm excited, though, because I'm not sure if Baltimore is going to necessarily play all of their starters. I probably should have asked Nelson now that I think about that. My bad there.
Have you talked to him?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We keep in touch every now and then. Usually when I'm in Tampa. But from the Ravens standpoint, even if their starters aren't in, obviously they had the win streak that just got snapped last week. Them, like the Steelers, for instance, I always expect, whether it's first, second, third string, no matter, those are the organizations that always have people who are physical, who are going to play technically sound football, and they're going to execute. So even though if our starters are playing against second stringers against the Ravens, for instance, I think Bucs fans should at least be, having the expectation of, hey, let's at least look and see if we're executing. Again, there's not going to be so many splash plays. Is Cody Mock holding his own in the run game? Because he's actually had, people don't understand this about Cody Mock. They expected him to come in and be a run grader. He's been actually a pretty good pass protecting guard.
That's crazy. I was talking with his uncle. I was talking with Cody Mock's uncle. And we were talking about that. And I was like, man, because the first game of the season, I saw him and he fucking pancaked this dude. He just destroyed him on his run blocking. I was like, okay, this is what I was expecting to see. But then, you go to Pro Football Focus and they're like, oh man, this dude is pass blocking his ass off right now. So I was not expecting that. But again, this is the guy that's got the physical tools to be able to do both. And I believe that, as a rookie, this bodes well for Bucs fans, because this is a guy who's only going to get better. He's only going to learn the game. The speed of the game is going to slow down for him, and he's going to continue to be physical, barring any injuries. This is a guy that, I have very high expectations for.
I 100% agree there. And then Gadecki, there's been I think he's definitely in the Steelers game. We learned that I forgot the Steelers young rookie edge who got drafted in the 4th round, who just, granted, running back chipped and someone else made Gadecki miss a block on 2 sacks.
There were a couple of times that the running back didn't pick up the assignment either that I saw.
Well, Laird, Patrick Laird on 1 rep looked like he was going to chip. He didn't. And it was just like, it just was weird. It looked like his feet got tangled with Gadecki.
Yeah.
The other sack that Gadecki gave up, he legit just got taken out of the play. Wasn't his fault. I say that one was 50-50. You know, Gadecki just shouldn't have gotten beat inside. We've since learned that Steelers player is maybe baby Alex Highsmith, who just got paid a lot of money and had 16 sacks last year for University of Charlotte, a guy who I wanted like 4 years ago, but you know, you can't win them all, Gene. But like, again, we'll see. I want to see Matt Filer. I'm just going to be honest. I haven't paid attention much to Matt Filer's career. Right. I hear he could play decent right tackle. He played guard last year for the Chargers. Great. I'm not going to sit here and act like I watched Chargers film all off season. So Matt Filer, hey, what does he look like? I like that there's a veteran next to Wirfs. I think they're going to be okay. Hainsey, we know what he is. He's a league average center. Let's just, you know, Jensen, we don't know anything. I just wouldn't expect Jensen at least halfway through the season. Just pretend Jensen doesn't exist. I think
absolutely
going to be okay.
Because you don't know what you have. So I wanted to ask you, because you had mentioned something about a certain play. Isn't there's a way how you you as a former offensive lineman, and you played at a high level, where you wash the offensive lineman out of a play? And I don't know if it's a sweep or I don't know how it works, but there's a way where if you target a specific offensive lineman, the way you run like maybe even a blitz or just the way you're attacking the quarterback, you can wash an offensive lineman out of the play. And that's what I felt like happened with Cody Mock on a couple of occasions where, you know, with pursuit, they were able to take him out of the play and they were able to get pressure on the quarterback because of that. Maybe, and I'm hoping you understand what I'm asking about, because
so there's two different ways to wash a player out. I'm just going to talk about it from a tackle's perspective because it's just easier to comprehend. Everyone, I feel like in this chat has probably played basketball at some point or has watched basketball. I think this is a better analogy.
Yeah, I tell you what, we got the best people in the chat. I mean, we always do. People that watch the show, you guys are always spot on and don't come with any bullshit. So
exactly. So let's say someone's trying to post you up, right? If you just put like your hand on like their back, they're gonna bulldoze you.
Right.
So when someone's rushing against you and you just try to get a hand on them, that ain't going anywhere. If someone's beating you off the edge, you want to take your inside hand. So let's say I'm the right tackle. I'm going to take my left hand. I'm going to punch that hip. If you punch the hip of the defender, which that's going to do is it's going to take away their leverage. You know how the defensive linemen have that bend, especially at edge?
It kind of knocks them off balance, sort of.
Yeah. So Tim Duncan, for instance, if you ever watch him play defense and someone's trying to post him up, one of his hands will be on the hip of whoever's trying to post him up inside.
Yeah.
So as an offensive lineman, you're going to take that hip and you're going to push him up the field. Now the opposite. Let's try. They try to take an inside move. You take your right hand, you punch that hip, and you drive him, 3 yards horizontally. And that's, I don't recommend the way Aaron Stinney does this. Aaron Stinney is very good at pushing people to the ground. I think he almost got Robert Hainsey injured last week the same way that he got Ryan Jensen last year. I'm not a big fan of pushing at the O-lineman, pushing people to the ground. Granted, it's the NFL. I've never played NFL level. I'm not going to act like I'm this expert. I'm a fan of driving someone out of the play. I think when you get people on the ground, unless it's like a legit drive block, like usually that's when bad things happen. But from a technique perspective, what Cody Mock has is the ability to grapple.
Yeah.
Like once he gets his hands on you,
you're not going anywhere.
Yeah, he's pretty good. The issue is the Gadecki has a little bit worse footwork, so it's probably easier to talk about Gadecki. You can see Gadecki when he messes up 99 times out of 100, you can just look at his feet.
Right. And that's the most important thing.
I think Mock, once he gets his hands on you, and same thing with Gadecki, honestly. Gadecki got called for a hold where both of his hands are on the inside shoulder pads. And I'm just like, bro, like, you can't do anything. You're like in the NFL, they call all these. Sometimes when the NFL calls holding, it's always away from the play or someone, again, like Gadecki is driving someone 5 yards up the field. The defensive lineman tries to reach out. So he just, pulls and twists him, but his hands are inside. They go holding. It's just like, no.
Yeah.
I don't think Hideki has had as bad of a preseason as what people are alluding to. What I think Hideki is, I don't think he's earned our faith or trust yet, which he hasn't played a snap.
I really feel like if he can stay healthy, I think he's going to consistently get better. Again, he's got all the physical tools. That's why he's still on this team. He did some things last year that I was really happy with. But again, you just keeping him healthy. The best ability is availability.
Well, also he'll have help. The biggest issue with the tackles for Donovan Smith got destroyed in Tampa. That Rams playoff game got destroyed when Wirfs obviously didn't play with that ankle. Basically, tackles were just put on islands. We're going to be running so much 12 personnel. We're going to be running the ball and doing play action at such a consistent level. Yeah. You've heard Dave Canales speak it. They want the ball out in less than 3 seconds. If it's less than 3 seconds,
1,000, 1,000. Yeah.
Baker and Trask are instructed to GTFOH of the pocket. Yeah. They're supposed to get out. And from an offensive lineman standpoint, I think Donovan Smith got in a lot of trouble for this. He'd be like, okay, 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi. Okay, I'm done. Hideki doesn't necessarily have that problem, but what Hideki has is sometimes he misses from the point of attack. And that at least if you have a chip from a tight end when they don't mess up your block like they did in week 1, Hideki will be fine. He'll have some help. I worry about him one-on-one on an island, which this offense is not going to ask him to do nearly as much as our previous 4 years.
I think you're going to get a little bit of help from your tight ends. I think you're going to see a lot more from, and not on every play, but there will be plays where your tight ends will be able to come in and, add some added assistance to some of these players to just kind of help them to, hold those blocks. So again, putting your best player in the best position to succeed is going to be huge. It's going to be so important. And I feel like, we've got the talent that we've got on this team. And I know a lot of people are concerned about the offensive linemen, but historically, if you go back to pre-2019 and look at what the Tampa Bay Buccaneers have had, 2019, you go back to 2010, and there was only spells, there were spurts where the Bucs had decent offensive line play consistent. But what you have right now, I think we've been spoiled by it, to be honest. I mean, when I look at what we had versus what we have right now, these are guys that have the physical tools. They just need to get coached up at times and get consistent. And again, this is a brand new offensive scheme. And I think, we just kind of have to take a step back. Okay, I see that. Look for
also a first-time play caller.
Right, exactly. What you want to, and that is key right there. That's why you kind of have to take a step back, take a deep breath, and get an idea of what's going on. You want to look for behaviors, guys. You're watching the game. If you're seeing your offensive lineman doing the same thing, footwork is bad, hand placement is bad. Just kind of look for those are the things you want to look for. But if it's just like a play every so often, and you see somebody who gets beat, you got to look at the play as a whole. It can't. 9 times out of 10, it may be the player, but it also could be somebody missed a chip. Possibly, there's something could have happened that would potentially cause this. So again, you got to look at the whole picture. Don't just look at that player by itself. I know a lot of people are casuals. Not saying anybody here, but you have a lot of people that are casuals and they only follow the ball. They don't look at the play as a whole. They don't look at the whole offensive line as a whole. They don't look where the tight end is. They don't look at the footwork or where your offensive linemen's feet are when they're going to make their blocks. They don't look at any of that. They just look at where the ball is and they follow the ball. So they don't get to see the whole thing, and they base a lot of their assumptions or opinions on, I followed the ball, this is what I saw, but you didn't see that, running back missed a block or, something else happened that's not part of where that ball is. And so you're looking at it a whole lot different. So again, give these guys a chance. Like I said, game 6 is where I really start focusing on being critical if I have to on players or, schemes or whatever. But again, it's going to take a little bit of time for these guys to get in there and put it all together.
Also, people forget that, or don't even know, those who are less experienced, for like a game like this, or for preseason, for instance, the play calling isn't trying to win the game. The play calling is to put players in certain situations, whether that be your offensive tackle in that one-on-one matchup, your tight end, how does he chip block? How does receivers X, Y, and Z? How do they handle certain route combinations? Like, for instance, with BA and Leftwich, they had to know how to read a defense, and that would determine their route versus what Canales is, which is pretty straightforward. Hey, you run this. This is going to open here, Baker. You have, basically 2 reads, and then you go. Like that. And from a defense perspective, it's, hey, a team might not even run single high coverage, and they're just going to run single high man. I want to see how this young safety reads a quarterback, and I want to see all of my DBs how they play man. It's a different mindset. That team might be more of a zone cover 2, Tampa 2, or a blitzing team, a zone blitzing team, like the way the Bucs are, for instance. That's like these teams aren't going to play to their strengths necessarily. I think in the first preseason game, we saw especially an abundance of play action, because that was mainly to see, from Baker with non-targets, hey, what can we get him to get a rhythm, get some throws? Like, you haven't really seen as much play action really since.
And I think that's by design.
Well, and he didn't have a starting offensive line other than the right side too. So that
exactly. And on top of that, when you think about it, Baker Mayfield can make plays with his legs. Nobody's talked about that.
We haven't seen that since Jameis Winston. Like, that's
right. Exactly. And again, we're not taking anything away from Tom Brady. Tom Brady has a different skill set.
I don't know. He had some of the sexiest runs I've ever seen. Yeah. The way that man slides, honestly.
Bryce
Young needs to start sliding like that. By the way, Bryce Young's going to not last very long in this league.
I just said that. This guy will not get down for anything.
I just watched the game right before I hopped on with you from last night, and boy, he's got to protect himself.
Yeah, he's not going to make it in this league, and he doesn't have the build of a Cam Newton. So you can't.
Why Bucs fans shouldn't be worried? It's not necessary. Everyone's focused on how good or bad the Bucs will be, and I really hate that this obviously happened last year. But seriously, look at everyone else. Is Michael Thomas actually going to be Michael Thomas? If he is, then the Saints are actually looking pretty decent. But what did the Saints lose? Look at their defensive line, and other than Cam Jordan, sorry, Gene. Look at the defense. The defensive line is nothing that we have. For the past 15 years, I feel like the Saints have had a really good defensive line. And it's like it disappeared overnight.
That ship has sailed.
The Falcons, okay, everyone wants to talk about, the Bijan Robinson is an outstanding talent. The receiver, I'm blanking on his name, from USC, Drake London. He is like a baby Mike Evans. He doesn't do everything the way Mike does, but he's got the size. He has all the physicality that you want. Good 50-50 ball. Great. Kyle Pitts, Mr. Not really a tight end, but can do pretty much everything a receiver does, but in a really nice looking body. Okay, that's great. Who's throwing them the football? Look at his preseason. You want to look at Kyle Trask preseason, and you want to look at the Falcons quarterbacks preseason? It's night and day. They're bad throws in practice. I don't trust them. And then you have the Panthers. Yes, it's the number 1 overall pick. Still a rookie. You look at the weapons. They just traded DJ Moore, who look what he did on his first snap with the Bears. Didn't take him long to announce his presence. Look around the Bucs. If Baker can actually, be an average to above average quarterback, and if the offensive line can be healthy and stabilized, and the Bucs don't go through any type of legit turmoil, they will have their shot at the division.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, and just look at who's backing up these starters in the NFC South. I was happy with Trask. I'm not even going to lie. And again, I've got no skin in the game. I went to University of Kansas, so I have no skin in the game when it comes to the Florida State rivalry. I don't like Florida State just because of everything.
I was about to say, I know you don't like Florida State, so I was waiting to see where you're going to go.
And to be honest, when I look at Kyle Trask, I would be comfortable if something happened. Knock on wood, we don't have to worry about that. But if something happened, and he can come in and play. I think he would. I think he would do fine. I think he would do fine. But I look at like Ritter and Jameis Winston. Jameis Winston's been in this league over 5 fucking years. The guy can't slide. The guy still can. He will not slide. And what's getting ready to happen? And I don't wish injury. I don't wish injury on anybody, because if you've been a part of the game, you've seen how the game goes. You know how hard it is to rehab from an injury. Would never wish injury on anybody. But if you've watched the way Jameis Winston slides, I saw this last game. It's scary. You're hoping, man, this guy is able to get up off the ground and walk away, because you're talking about an ACL injury, MCL, something. Just the way this guy slides. You know, a former baseball player, it's kind of embarrassing that the guy doesn't know how to slide. So, you know, when I look over, you know, just who's out there, what they have, I'm not, you know, everybody talks about Olave. Okay, Olave, cool, whatever.
Okay, tell me what Olave does that Chris Godwin doesn't.
Exactly.
And I'm sorry, and I love Olave. What Olave has is opportunity.
Yeah.
But also look who's throwing him. Jameis Winston, we know, can give wide receiver stats, right?
So what they do.
Derek Carr, other than throwing to Devontae Adams, you know, how does that necessarily look? If you look across the NFL and we want to name quarterbacks that are better than Derek Carr, it's going to be a lot closer to Kyle Trask and Baker Mayfield than it is to Patrick Mahomes. So with that in mind, how, again, I talked about the Saints earlier. I'm not saying the Saints won't be good. In fact, I would put the Saints above where the Falcons and the Panthers are right now. But that doesn't mean Derek Carr is the answer to the problem. Derek Carr is going from throwing from Darren Waller, Hunter Renfrow, and Devontae Adams, right? Michael Thomas, who hasn't played football in 3 years.
He hasn't ran a
second-year player that's going to get a lot of attention that he didn't get last year.
Yeah, real quick. This is the guy that they were trying to run up the score and got injured, by the way, folks. For those of you keeping score at home, that's what happened. The guy they were trying to run up the score on the Bucs, and he ended up getting injured, and he ain't been right since.
Well, he played one good game last year as the opener, and then never heard from again.
Yep, exactly. So again, it is what it is. I'm good with that. I'm like you. I think the Bucs, there's open opportunity to win the NFC South. It's not out of the realm of possibility. I just want to say shout out to Adam Davies and anybody else from UK Bucs. Love you guys. I was looking over my pictures from Germany. Had a great time, man, as always. And you know, eventually we'll link up and we will get UK Bucs from across the pond. Guys, if you're not following UK Bucs, do me a favor and check them out. They do a great job. I mean, they're like freaking ESPN, the way they have their setup, and they look at stats. They really drill down into the game a whole lot. So if you get a chance, you're looking for a new type of Bucs podcast or a Bucs stream to listen to, UK Bucs is where it's at, man. I love those guys. Everybody, when I was in the UK, I was in Birmingham. They all came to Birmingham to hang out with me, and we hung out in Germany. Great people, man, and you know, that just makes you proud to be a Bucs fan. Just rolling with those guys. So thank you, guys. I appreciate you. And you know, and Plus has been on, you know, last couple of weeks. I missed you, man. And again, we're gonna get KB back. KB will definitely be back, man. It's just we got to get the timing right. It's like right now it's preseason. Everybody's getting their timing right. We'll get KB back on here, man. Dude, you bring so much insight, and I appreciate that. Especially like, you know, as a former offensive lineman, and you know, and so I respect your opinion. And I've listened to some of these other guys you watch on TV that they probably never played football. They were probably like a towel manager or something like that. But here they are giving opinions. I mean, then you got quarterbacks that
Tampa right now. Think from again. I don't think I am the biggest football.
No, but you provide insight that a lot of
But
listeners
that
don't
comes down
have.
to communication, and that's why, for instance, I feel like a lot of people, especially have defended Byron Leftwich the past couple of years. Listen to the way he speaks. Listen to the way Dave Canales speaks.
Yeah.
That's the difference between. I think there's a lot of caring that involves. I don't probably know 1/1000th of the football Byron Leftwich does.
But the
I can tell you,
arrogance that guy showed when he when asked simple
JC
questions.
Allen took the brunt of that, and I felt so bad. The dude was just like, "Hey, what do you think of analytics?" And Byron just basically pretended like
He
JC
roasted him.
analytics don't exist.
Yeah.
Friend of the show, JC Allen, Pewter Report.
Yeah, there you go. And you know, shout out to the guys over at the Pewter Report. They're amazing, all of them. Again, that was one of the things that really struck me as a guy that's not willing to, you know, he didn't take responsibility for anything. Like, he made it sound like, oh, you guys don't know what the hell you're talking about, is how his attitude came off to me. And for the record, I was not happy with Byron Leftwich in a Buccaneers uniform as a quarterback either. So just so I'm being consistent here.
Hasn't he thrown like a TD or at least a pass to Mike Evans at some point?
I don't think so.
Was he before?
Lord Byron was before. That was like I'm thinking, was it Gruden? Is it between Gruden and Raheem Morris, somewhere off in there? I think it was Gruden.
I mean, was he Schiano? Okay, he was in Tampa in 2009. No, that's before Schiano. That's Raheem Morris.
Yeah. Was he Radio Raw?
Yeah.
No. It was before. It would have had to have been Gruden because Freeman was your guy. Freeman was your guy. I'm almost positive.
Nah, Raheem Morris was the coach in 2009.
2009. I think he had just come in, though. I don't think.
Yeah, no, Byron started before Josh Freeman came in.
Right. There you go. Okay, that's what it was.
That's what it was. So, and Raheem, I know, drafted Josh.
Yeah. So again, that's for another argument right there. It's just so funny that you know, when you look at Josh's career back in the day, Ron Prince is probably the worst head coach I've ever seen in my entire life. And as a Bucs fan, a lifelong Bucs fan, going back to the 80s, that is saying a lot for me to say that guy, Ron Prince, should never coach anything ever. Pee Wee League. I'm talking about kindergartners. He should never coach, period. And it's just, you know, how it is. He made an old man come out of retirement. He was so horrible. That's just how bad he was.
Speaking of which, Phillip Rivers would have been the quarterback in the Super Bowl last year.
Yeah, definitely.
That's nuts.
That just blows my mind. I can't get past that. But anyway, you know, King Cook, I'm going to say this, bro. If you look at things like I'm looking at the Buccaneers this year, I want the best player on the field. I don't have any favorites. I don't have any skin in the game with any players. I want the best player on the field. And if he's going to help this team win a game, win some games, whatever, that's what I want. That's who I want on the field. And that's kind of where I'm looking at it. So,
well, and with that, what is a QB? How many QBs in the later rounds work? I mean, there's a few positions where, like, let's say the most important positions really on the football field are quarterback, offensive line, defensive line, wide receiver. Those are the positions you hit on in the first round. Most positions like guard, you know, linebacker, safety, running back, you can hit on later in the draft. Quarterback's a position, if you look at what Dak Prescott in modern history.
Yeah, Jesus Christ.
Tom Brady in what, 1999? Like, and Tom Brady took what, 3 years and a catastrophic injury in order to get an opportunity. Like, mid-round quarterbacks aren't guaranteed shit.
They ain't getting no love.
I mean, but when you look at the second round pick, it took him 13 years to even get a true shot and opportunity. Like,
but I don't know if you look. Yeah, and I guess when you look at the draft as a whole, we look at the draft as a whole. First and second round, potential starters. Third, fourth round is competition. fifth
maybe
round,
for your backups. That's what you're hoping from a mid-round pick.
And fifth round on is depth. So first and second round, I understand where people are like, oh, well, he was drafted in the second round. What's he doing? I get that, totally get that. And that's where you got to kind of get in the mind of the general manager and the head coach. But again, remember this, folks, first and second round, potential starters, third round, fourth round is competition, and fifth round on is depth. So that's kind of how that works. If you want to be guaranteed, I would put second, third, fourth round is competition. I would potentially put that in there because we've seen some players that Jason Light has drafted that have turned out to be winners, within that field, and they've come in and helped this team to make some win, to get some wins. But for the most part, we do know that. I mean, I would say Logan Hall may be, I'm kind of thinking back, starters that Jason Light. We're talking only the Jason Light era. So
Winfield Jr.
Okay, yeah, and he's held that.
Safarian Jenkins was a no.
Austin Safarian Jenkins.
Roberto Aguayo, Ali Marpet.
Who's the other tight end that just got cut for the Raiders?
OJ
Howard. OJ Howard. There you go. But when you look at the whole body of work, that Jason Light has put out there, he's had some misses, but
he's hitting at a 50% clip, which is
right.
Like hitting the lottery in the NFL.
And where I'm kind of going with this is if you look at some of your other general managers, and let's look at New England. New England has a shitty draft pick record. Shitty. I will die on this hill. They have not done well with draft picks. They brought in free agents. They brought in guys. They've got this guy. But I think Tampa has been so spoiled by what Jason Light has been able to do that, we've got a Super Bowl. You went to the playoffs again. And, all this stuff, once you get your guy, your quarterback, and, I think the Bucs have enough talent to where, again, we talked about this earlier. This is a team that could, potentially be in the conversation for the NFC South, putting them in a position to be in the playoffs.
And mind you, in a weak NFC, if the Bucs were in the AFC, I'd be like, just tank that shit. Right. It would be honestly kind of pointless. The Bucs' current state isn't beating Mahomes, isn't beating Allen, isn't beating Burrow, much less. Imagine if you're not the number one seed in the AFC.
Right.
Like you have to play 3 of the top 8 teams just to make the Super Bowl. And that's before you're probably playing whatever the best the NFC has to offer, whether that be probably the Eagles, the 49ers, whoever, maybe a different team takes the step up. I think Bucs fans at least have the, wherewithal that it's probably not going to be us, but this team is not going to be a 3-win team. Everyone who's predicting that, even Vegas is putting us at 7 wins.
Right.
Like that tells you again, Vegas is not a perfect system, but they know a thing or two because they take all of our money.
But Vegas has been close to spot on here the past, I would say, 8 years.
They were in on us.
Yeah.
But again, from the Bucs standpoint, I think it's just all about showing progress this year.
Yeah.
I think if the Bucs won 8 games last year, and what if they win 7 this year without Tom Brady? That to me should be, oh my God, we're on the right path. We got to figure out, what happened this season? Was it something on defense? Was it the quarterback? If the Bucs are 7-9 and they're sitting at draft pick 11, they'd probably think about going into the top 3 of a really fat quarterback class. Or they might even be like, hey, I don't like the idea of Kyler Murray, but insert quarterback who becomes available, like a Kyler or a Dak or a this or a that. It could be, hey, maybe we're just that one piece away. We re-sign Tristan, you re-sign Antoine, possibly Devin, and you just kind of go at it again. You don't need much else other than maybe Levante David's replacement. That'd probably be the only to-do list outside of what happens, with this next offseason.
It's going to be interesting, and I always daydream about this offseason coming up. There are going to be a lot of quarterbacks available.
I'll let you all know about Drake May. I live literally 15, 20 minutes away from UNC Chapel Hill, so I'll be going to a couple of his games to see what all the hype's about.
Yeah, it's gonna be really interesting. So, before we jump off here, KB, thank you so much for jumping on, man. This is fun. I enjoy doing this. Again, I may try to do this on Sundays to see what we got, but who are you looking forward to seeing tonight? Who are you going to be watching closely to see? And again, folks, we're not looking for splash plays. We're looking for behaviors. We're looking for consistent play or consistent deficiencies from players. It's not about, oh, they made a play and we're going to see it on ESPN. No, we want to see consistently what these players do. And just kind of want to get your thoughts. Who do you want to see tonight?
This is going to sound very unlike me because I could obviously say people like Gadecki or Mock or Baker, this or that. Who is one name we've heard this entire offseason on him just destroying everyone play after play after play? And I'm not saying Trey Palmer because he's had probably the highest of highs, but Mike Evans is the person I'm hearing that is really going to be the one who might benefit from this offense the most by having some easy separation opportunities, getting rhythm. Mike Evans is the most rhythmic wide receiver I've probably ever seen because he'll just, drop 3 in a row or catch 15 in a row. He never catches slants either. So I want to see, hey, is Mike Evans really going to get the ball 80, 90 receptions this year? Is that an actual
I really
thing?
believe that Mike Evans is going to be the safety blanket. Personally, I think he's going to be the safety blanket. Historically, I'm going all the way back to Johnny Manziel, Johnny Football. Mike Evans has made every quarterback he's been with look good. They all look sexy. They just do. I think 2021 with Mike Evans and Tom Brady could have been better, but I'm good with what they got done. I think that Mike Evans will continue to produce. I see Mike Evans producing for another 2 years, maybe 3 years.
Well, but the thing is, we know Mike's, as long as he's healthy, he's going to hit 1,000 yard, and that's because what he does in the deep game, which is honestly Baker's best skill set, is the deep ball. So that's obviously great. But there's so many times, especially in the B.A. Byron eras, where I'm just going to focus here. Evans will go 3 games with only combined less than 100 yards of receiving. Now, are we going to see just a more consistently productive, more rhythmic offense with Mike? If Mike Evans is able to get those opportunities the way that we haven't given him the opportunities to have in the past on easy routes, easy catches, sky's the limit for him to be able to not only stay healthy, but he's not, imagine running 30, 40 yard, passes every single time he's on the field. A 5-yard slant, man. That's easy. That's easy money. So if that's the Mike Evans we're going to see this season, I'm excited and I can't wait to see it. That's what I'm going to look for tonight.
Yeah. Somebody that I can't remember his name. It's Kurt Warner's son is who I'm really interested in. Caleb?
Cade, C-A-D-E.
Like Cade Otton. Okay.
Yeah, like Cade Otton.
Yeah. Second Cade.
Yeah, I think he's K-A-D-E now that I think about it. But
I'm really interested to see more of him, and he's somebody that I'll be keeping my eye on. I don't know if he's somebody you hide on the practice squad. I'm not sure what his ceiling. I'm not sure what his ceiling is.
I don't see how our wide receiver room for our top 6, because I think they're going to keep 6. If not, David Moore will be a veteran on the practice squad. It's going to be Trey Palmer, Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, Devin Tompkins. Did I say Trey Palmer?
Yeah, you said Trey Palmer.
Wait, Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, Trey Palmer, Devin Tompkins. Who am I missing? Bucs depth chart. I feel like an idiot.
Don't feel that way because I should know this stuff.
Oh, Raheem Jarrett. Excuse me, that's who I forgot. He's had quite the little standout there too. He's the perfect wide receiver 6 to just have.
What's interesting too is nobody's really giving Chris Godwin any props, and I think what's getting ready to happen is Chris Godwin had that catastrophic injury, and you can't get over an injury like that and be ready for day one of the next season. It just doesn't happen. A whole year. And so at the back end of the season is where we saw Chris Godwin, and the guy looked like the Chris Godwin of old. So here's a guy that they're going to have to talk about. They're going to have to drop his name this season. They're going to have to drop his name unless one of them dirty bastards from New Orleans tries to hurt him again. But
Chris Godwin's best season as a wide receiver in the NFL, believe it or not, Bucs fans, came on the outside.
Yes.
Now, I think he's going to play. I think he's going to play more snaps in the slot than I think we all hoped, because that was going to be Gage's role. And Trey Palmer right now is just more comfortable on the outside than he is inside. So I think Godwin's going to place him in the slot. But I think Mike Evans is going to get more chances at the slot too, in motion with rub routes. So again, I like that we're going to have 3 wide receivers that are basically going to be interchangeable in their roles and opportunities. But I'm with you, man. If there are fantasy people out there, Chris Godwin's going like 10 picks ahead of Evans, but that's just because the wide receiver or the fantasy community has no idea what to do with the Bucs. So again, there's a huge boom or bust potential fantasy, but also real life with the Bucs. You don't know. I don't think Baker Mayfield's going to – if Baker Mayfield's throwing for 4,500, 5,000 yards, I think we're in trouble. But if he's throwing for 3,800, 4,000 yards, we have a stable running game, averaging like, let's say 4 yards a carry, 3.5 4 yards a carry. Like that's all I feel like we can ask for. The Bucs are going to be winning and losing 1-score games.
Yeah.
Turnovers.
And that brings up, my guy who we had to break. Unfortunately, we had to break up our fan club, the Ryan Suckup fan club, because no one.
Well, it ain't going to be Rodrigo.
Yeah, and our man Rodrigo, who I thought
his
Rodrigo go where we go, but it's not the case. So
yeah, that's another thing, Gene. I should have said looking out for. I want to see a kicker, man. Because the Bucs, people don't understand how important the kicking game is going to be for the Bucs.
It's huge.
And we know how the south end zone is.
Yes.
Every kicker, look at the Dallas's kicker who had set the record for like best season, highest percentage ever, goes out, misses 4 out of 5 kicks.
Exactly.
Like, no, I don't trust anyone. Suckup was the only person I trust. He kicked a 50-yarder. God rest his soul. He couldn't hit a 50-yarder to save his life last year. He hit a 50-yarder in the Super Bowl. That's all he did everything I needed from
at the time. This is the thing. We didn't need him. And Ryan Suckup made Bucs fans forget we had a kicking problem. But now that he's gone, I don't know.
Well, I think this is the perfect year to figure something else out. But
I hope so, man. I really do.
I think at least the whole Rodrigo thing. I like that a kicker didn't miss his kick and one kicker missed all of them versus the alternative, which is, hey, both of them are hitting and missing. Which one do we keep? Mm-hmm. I'm happy that whole situation at least just worked itself out.
Yeah. So, guys, if you're watching the game, it is on WFLA. Wow, it's 80 degrees right now.
What do you mean? You're at the game. I'm literally watching you. The game's behind you.
So I'm watching. The pregame just started. So the pregame festivities, people are starting to get in their seats. So it's going to be an exciting game, and I'm definitely looking forward to this. Oh, I don't know if I got to tell you this. So I've got these AR glasses. Now, no, if you
AR, you mean like shooting glasses?
No, like AR, like alternative reality.
Not
VR,
VR.
Not virtual reality. This is alternative reality. So basically, they look like Wayfarers. They look like the risky business glasses. But when you plug them into your phone and you're watching the game, the screen looks like it's about 103 inches. The screen is just huge. and you're watching. And so this is going to be technology. I'm all about technology. I'm a techno nerd. I love that stuff. And so this is going to be actually the first game that I've actually watched that will be
is this some Tony Stark level shit?
Yes, this is some Tony Stark level shit, man.
I've never seen this.
Oh, hold on 1 second here. I'll be right back because you're gonna crack up when you see it. I got to show him.
Okay. God, I hope Gene looks like a nerd for everyone listening. I've never seen these before. I'm definitely thrown off because I just knew of VR. I didn't know about AR, augmented reality. Gene, am I allowed to call you a nerd when you come back?
All right, I am back. But and this is not to brag. I'm just excited about this. So these are the glasses.
They look like sunglasses.
I know they're X-Real. They're called X-Real. So if you'll notice, your screens are here. And the plug plugs into my iPhone, and I put the game on, and I can watch the game from my glasses. So
interesting.
So I'm excited about this, man. I've never done anything like this. I tried virtual reality. I hate virtual reality because I got physically sick. I was watching X-Men on virtual reality. And when I took because the glasses cover your whole face, you can't you're like in this reality that you're watching. When you take it off, it takes a moment for your brain to kind of recalibrate to your actual reality. So, but with these, what's so cool about these? Like, you put them on, and I'm watching the game, just like that.
That's so interesting.
That's next level, bro. I'm telling you, that is next level.
So whenever your wife's talking to you and you have those on, really, you're just like watching Bucs.
So I was watching John Wick. I was watching these with John. I was watching John Wick with these on, man. It was just like, she's watching whatever she's watching, and I've got John Wick on. And
do you have like headphones? Like, how do you?
I use my AirPods. Well, they have like speakers on them. So if you wanted to use the speakers are here. But I use my AirPods, and it's like, man, being in a movie theater.
Interesting. So it's like a projector, but in like sunglasses form.
Yeah, I felt like Tony Stark, man, because you can actually hook these up to your laptop, and you can have like 3 screens. So you could actually do, like, for productivity, you can actually do work on them. And you're just like typing on your keyboard or whatever. You make them work, man. It's pretty dope.
I feel like if I use that for work, it'd be like very Daredevil like.
It would be. And they're like, man, why are you wearing shades? Why are you wearing shades during a company meeting? What are you trying to say?
I'm not watching YouTube, I promise.
Exactly. I'm not watching all 22, man. I'm
listening to you. Absolutely not. I am diving through Salesforce right now is what I'm doing.
Exactly. So you could be on Salesforce, but you're just like so
oh no, I don't need more ways.
If you want to look, they're called X-Real. I'm gonna actually but I thought it was kind of cool, man. I'm like, man, a lot of people are like, man, I'm going to use it for video games because I tried it on the PS5, but again, I get bored, so I just didn't. I'd rather just watch it on TV if I'm playing PS5. So, but yeah, I just figured I would tell you about them because I think I talked with you a little bit about them. Because I hadn't gotten them yet, but then now that I've gotten them plugged in and I'm using them, they're amazing. They really are. But anyway, guys, we are 45 minutes away from kickoff, I believe, somewhere off in there.
Yeah,
again, the game is happening. We'll be back on again on Thursday. KB, are you available Thursday? Are you traveling?
Wait, you changed the Thursday? See, I've been gone. I've been
Wednesday's been kind of I've been on the struggle bus on Wednesday.
Okay. Well, we'll be in communication. We'll see. I'm not going to be as consistent as I've been in previous seasons.
Whenever I can get you on, hey man, let me jump on. He may surprise us and be on, but you're a friend of the show. You're your family, and wherever you can get on, I appreciate it. Just like everybody here, Bud, my boy Bud Cannibalist, been around forever. Tampa Supreme, my guy. Appreciate you guys. But anyway, I'm going to jump off here because you know what? It's almost game time, baby. We're going to see what the Bucs going to do. And again, thank you guys for checking us out. Everybody in the chat, you're appreciated. King Cook, Mr. Everything Bucs, everybody. Appreciate you guys. But we're out of here. Peace.
Imagine I'm Antoine Winfield and Tyreek Hill's in front of me, and I got the peace up.
There you go, right?
Peace up, A-Town.
Peace out.